Your ego wants to be understood. Your higher self wants to be free. That's the conflict. The ego says, they have to know I am right. The ego says, they have to know I meant well. The ego says, they cannot walk away thinking that about me. So the ego starts explaining. The ego starts defending, starts performing, then it starts begging for fair interpretation from people who are never fair with you to begin with. That's the trap. You see, the ego wants the crowd to correct the record, but the deeper self does not need the crowd to certify its truth. The deeper self knows, and that knowing is quiet. This is one of the hardest lessons for a man to learn. You may be right, still misunderstood. You may be honest and still accused. You may be clear and still twisted. You may be calm and still called arrogant. You may withdraw and still be called weak. But none of that changes what is real. The question is, can you remain yourself without needing the world to agree with your version of yourself? That is where freedom begins. Because if people can control your behavior by controlling how they describe you, they own you. All they have to do is call you selfish and you start overgiving. All they have to do is call you mean and you start over-explaining. All they have to do is call you arrogant and you start shrinking. All they have to do is call you insecure and you start performing confidence. That is not power. That is slavery to perception. The hermit breaks that chain. He lets people think what they're going to think. He lets people talk. He lets people misunderstand because he knows the truth does not become false just because a fool describes it incorrectly. The ego wants applause, it wants defense, it wants validation, but the soul wants peace. And peace often begins with the sentence, I do not need to explain this anymore.